little bit about something that we have called between us the invisibility factor. It's probably something that most people who have a visible disability, so they use a wheelchair or they have a long cane, etc., are used to. So we mean when you're out and about, and because you don't fit what people perceive as being normal, then they don't know how to act around you, so they ignore you. So for example, when you're in the town and you've got people giving out leaflets or doing surveys or whatever, they just ignore you. Which, in my case, I quite like being ignored by those sort of people. John would like to speak to them, but they ignore him because of his long cane. And if I was there on my own, they usually approach me because I'm not with somebody who's got an obvious disability. So it's obvious that it's to do with the aid or appliance that's been used to help the person to manage with their disability when they're out and about. There's the same issue in shops too. So normally when you go to a shop where they work on a commission basis, as soon as you walk through the door and you start looking at something, they pounce on you trying to sell you something. When we go there and John's got his long cane and George is in his power chair, we don't have that issue. They completely ignore us again. So we have that invisibility cloak on again. And if we want to buy something and we're really keen on buying it, I usually have to go and chase down a sales assistant so that they will actually sell what we want to buy. So it can be a bit of a pain in that way. Now, a couple of days ago, we went to the camping, caravan and motorhome show at the NEC. Now obviously, as this is a show, you go there because you're interested in what they've got on display and the kind of stuff that they're selling. And you buy tickets to go in as well. So not only are you travelling there to look at the stuff, you are actually paying to go in to look at the stuff. It's a great show if you like camping and caravanning and motorhoming, because there's a huge variety of tents and there's glamping and caravans and motorhomes, as you'd expect, and lots of stores on the periphery of each of the halls because it was across 5 halls. And we found that we had the same problem there. We seem to have this invisibility factor again. So we looked at different motorhomes, different caravans and so on. And it was almost like the people that were there exhibiting, their eyes just kind of slid across us as if we weren't there. And if we'd wanted to ask about something, we'd have had to have forcibly gone and got in their faces to actually get them to talk to us. Now I must add, that wasn't everybody. There were people that did speak to us, weren't there?
Yes, we had some very nice conversations with a couple of people.
Yeah, and they told us about what they were selling. So I must add, that isn't everybody, but it was a significant majority where their eyes just slid across us as if we weren't there. The other issue we had was with the general public who were visiting the show as well. We were also invisible to them, so people were falling over John's cane or walking into him, or they were trying to walk over George in his chair, weren't they, George? So it made it uncomfortable for John and for George from that point of view, didn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be uncomfortable having people constantly walking over you, walking into you, falling over your cane because they're not looking where they're going because you're invisible to them.
I mean, looking at it more from George's standpoint, I would imagine it was probably quite uncomfortable for George. People bumping into my cane as much. Truth be told, I don't mind it that much. It's something that can happen, but to walk over George, I would imagine, is far more uncomfortable for him.
Is that right, George? So what we ended up doing to get around the halls was John and I went in front with me guiding John, and we just kept walking, and George kind of followed in our wake. So it was literally like we had to barge our way through people to get anywhere because we were just invisible. And George followed behind us in the path that we made, so he didn't have people trying to walk over him or fall over him. And it shouldn't be this way. I know from my own experience of going through mainstream school and so on, there is so little, if any, education about dealing with people with disabilities, visible disabilities. And I think a lot of it is a lack of education on the part of people, how to speak to somebody with a disability. They might think that you have to speak to them in a different way, which you don't. They're just ordinary people where part of their body doesn't work properly. So for John, it's his eyes and his ears that don't work as they should. For George, it's his legs sometimes that don't work as they should. But it doesn't mean that they're not capable of having a conversation or wanting to buy things, because disabled people have money too, and they might want to buy something that you're selling. And I would think if you're trying to sell something, then surely it's in your interest not to exclude parts of society because you're not sure how you should talk to them. That's my point of view anyway. But the thing is, all that disabled people want, from our point of view anyway, is just to be treated as everybody else. As if they can speak for themselves, as if they can think for themselves, because they can for the most part. There are exceptions, but most disabled people are perfectly capable of thinking for themselves and speaking for themselves and just want to be treated like everybody else as valued members of society. Would you agree, John?
I would agree completely. I mean, we all have value and we all bring something to the table. It just boils down to whatever something is.
Anyway, this has turned into a bit of a rant, so I do apologise about that. But if you take anything away from this video, it's just please treat disabled people as you treat other people, and speak to them and treat them as though they can think for themselves, which most of them can. And don't treat them as they're invisible. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you don't already, please subscribe and you won't miss any of the videos that we upload every week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.